Okay, since you guys would like to get started early, I'll get started early. Welcome back to all of you guys. Nice to see everyone. We're going to learn walking meditation today. Walking meditation is going to help you if you have an overactive mind, if like the last thing you're thinking about is sitting still somewhere and actually doing meditation. This will actually help you if you have a lot of energy in the mind. It also helps you if you're falling asleep and dozing off in your meditation. But it's helpful to know that the goal the goal of walking meditation is the same that I taught you guys yesterday with breathing mindfulness meditation. You're still eliminating the unwholesome quality of craving, desire, attachment, and you're still cultivating the wholesome quality of mindfulness or awareness of mind and concentration, like singleness of mind. So it's still the same exact goals, but you're just doing it through a different way. You'll see that you can do this as a standalone session, like all by itself. You could start with walking meditation, go all the way through and finish. You could do it prior, like say that you're getting ready to go do some meditation and you're like, well, my mind's got a lot of energy in it. It's a kind of overactive. Let me do some walking meditation first. And maybe you'll do like 5, 10, 15 minutes of walking meditation and then switch to a seated or a lying or a standing meditation. You can also do it at any time. There were times where I would sit down to do meditation. 3, 5 minutes into the meditation, I could see my mind was overactive and I would switch to a walking meditation. So that's an option too. So you can really do this at any time. It's not like you strike a pose and you keep with it. You would like to be able to understand that you can move around in different positions. So walking meditation can be used in all these different ways. What you're going to do is instead of focusing on the breath, you're going to focus on the eyes down through the looking at your eyes. You're going to look 3 feet in front of you. And as you look 3 feet in front of you, anytime your mind moves away from that, you're going to bring it back to your eyes. So instead of focusing on the breath, and anytime your mind moves off the breath, you come back to the breath, you're going to do this through the eyes. Okay? What you'll do with your hands is you'll either put them in front of you or to the sides or behind you. It's up to you. You're going to take your foot and you're going to go flat, and then you're going to transfer the weight. It's flat, and then you transfer the weight. It's 2 deliberate movements. Flat, and then transfer. Flat, and then transfer. I'm going to demonstrate it for you, and I'm going to help you guys even get started, but then I'm going to leave you on your own to be able to do this. So let me just pick up this cordless mic and make a couple of changes over here so that I can show you guys. And I can show you guys online as well. Testing. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to demonstrate for you. And those of you guys online, you guys can see this as well. What you're going to do, normally I wouldn't have this mic in my hand, so I would put my hands down in front of me or to the side or behind me. And what you do is you put your foot out flat in front of you, and then you do transfer. You're looking 3 feet down in front of you, and your eyes are fixated through that. And anytime your mind moves off of that, you bring your mind back to it. So you do flat, transfer, flat, transfer, flat, transfer, flat, transfer, flat, transfer, flat, transfer. We're going to walk around in a big circle around the house because you'd like to do this kind of in a controlled environment, usually when you're first getting started. But it's 2 deliberate movements, kind of like if you remember the old time clocks that were like tick, tock, tick, tock. You kind of put your mind almost in a trance by doing that flat transfer. So I'll just go around so you guys can see that I'm starting out with this flat transfer, flat, transfer, flat, transfer. But then eventually you like to get rid of that because that's just your mind holding on to that. You like to be able to just walk and look down through your eyes. And anytime your mind moves off of it, bring your mind back to that. So without having to say anything, I would just do this flat transfer all the way around. So it's two deliberate movements, flat and then transfer, flat and transfer. We're going to make a really big circle so you get a chance to walk. Usually you don't walk in a small circle like that, but just to give you guys a demonstration. And whenever your mind moves off whatever you're seeing, whenever your mind's moving off of that, you just bring that back to whatever you're looking at straight in front of you. So you're not looking really far ahead of you. You're not thinking about what's behind you. You're not looking at things on the side, just 3 feet in front of you. And this is going to help to develop your awareness of mind, your focus and concentration, and training the mind to let go, just like the other meditation. Yes, ma'am.
Is there somewhere else we can look instead of down? It was
Yeah, you would like to look down. So you would like to look down 3 feet in front of you because that's what you're focusing your mind on, looking down. And for some people, this might not work out for you. Oftentimes, when you're doing something for the first time, or even the second or third or fourth time, your mind doesn't really like it because there's all these adjustments that you need to make to the body and the mind. But if you practice it enough times, it'll be like a tool. Because, like the first time you pick up a hammer, it's not really a tool. Or the first time you pick up a spatula, it's not like a real tool yet, right? You have to use it 3, 4, 5, 6 times before it's a real tool. So, this walking meditation, when you first start it, sometimes people feel a little bit awkward, but sometimes people catch on to it right away. But nonetheless, if you do it more than once, multiple times, eventually it'll be a good tool for you. You'll see that it works really well.
Thank you, Teacher David. When you're doing the walking meditation, is your mind on your feet transferring or ahead of you?
The mind is looking through your eyes, so that spot 3 feet ahead of you, that's where your mind is focused on.
But that's ever changing, or I guess as you walk, it's changing, but just bring it back to that 3 feet ahead of you.
Yeah, so if you're walking through here, you're going to see the wood floor, and then you're going to see the carpet. And this is some impermanence that your mind's going to have. And now you just need to keep staying focused 3 feet in front of you.
So the feet, the transfer of the feet, your mind should not be on that. It should just naturally just progress to just walking carefully.
Yeah, because some people do teach to focus on the bottom of the
Yeah.
foot, but that's not the way I teach. Because when the Buddha teaches meditation, he talks about this post and pillar, and he talks about these 6 animals being tied to the post and pillar and pulling in all these opposite directions. And each time the animal gets to the end of the rope, it gets yanked back. And eventually, when the animals pull and pull and pull, they eventually just sit down by the post and pillar and they're calm and stable. And that's essentially what your mind's doing, is it's pulling in all these different opposite directions. And what you're doing is you're yanking it back. And now that post or pillar is what's allowing you to do that. So you need something that's going to be consistent throughout your entire meditation. So in seated meditation, lying or standing, you've got your breath, and that's your post or pillar. But when you're walking, you're not always on the bottom of your feet. So it's not consistent enough to be able to focus on. But through your eyes, it's consistent enough that you can keep bringing your mind back to that. So that's your post and pillars, whatever you're looking at through your eyes, because that'll be consistent throughout your entire meditation.
And other question is, does it matter if you're walking back and forth in a straight line versus if you are going in a circular motion?
Yeah, that's the other thing you'll find, is that when you walk in a circle, it allows your mind to get down in that groove, almost like a trance. Or when you walk back and forth when they teach you to do that, you have to break from your concentration in order to do that, and you don't get as much of a consistent development of the mind. Because remember that analogy I gave yesterday with the piece of wood and the steel rod, and you're grinding it back and forth? That's what you're doing when you're walking around in a circle. You're getting that groove where you can feel where the mind's in the middle, so that then when it's out of that groove, either during the meditation or outside in your daily life, you can notice that. But if you just keep walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you never get into that groove to be able to know what is the middle, so that then when your mind's not in the middle, you can bring it back.
I feel like there's such a disconnect between the Buddhist like teachings that I've grown up with. It's almost like I have to just let go of that because they say quite the opposite. You know, they say circular is not good. You should go back and forth. Circular is going to make it worse. You know, but they don't have any particular reasoning. But I do like that you explain everything very logically. Thank you.
Yeah, whenever someone shares a teaching with you, if they've done the work and their mind is peaceful and joyful in this mental state, they'd be able to explain to you the why behind every single thing. That's a red flag when someone can't tell you the why. So that's good you're asking for the why. So you'll hear the things that I'm sharing with you are sometimes very different than what other people are explaining, but I can show you in the original words of the Buddha, and I can explain to you why it's being done that way, where in other situations it doesn't sound like you got that. So now you'll understand the why, and then it'll make more sense to you, and you'll see how it all fits together in a complete package. Okay, would you guys like to give this a try? So we're going to probably have to do a little bit of housework to clean things up. What I'm going to do is have you guys walk around kind of like the inside of the house. So if we just kind of clear the chairs and stuff, that'll really help us. So if we make a space where we can walk kind of through here and around by the stairs, and we kind of spread out, because we're going to need to start being spread out. So if you guys spread out throughout this whole track, I'll just kind of like walk the track. This is the track that we walk up. I lost my mic. We're going to walk through here. Just kind of, yeah, we can move that. We're going to walk through this track right here. So if we just spread out through this whole area, and then we kind of space ourselves out, then we'll kind of have a starting point. And I'll help you guys get started. And then I'm just going to leave you guys to your own. I'm probably going to sit on the sofa and relax while you guys are meditating. Rest my back a little bit. What's that? Your own. It's your practice. It's not me. Oh, we'll end up shutting that off. Okay. All right. So face towards this way. We're going to be walking counterclockwise. Okay, so just space yourselves out so you have a few feet between you and the person in front of you. So put your hands either in front, to the sides, or behind. And now look 3 feet in front of you. And now we're going to do this slowly. Just put your one foot out. Don't transfer the weight yet. Just put the foot out in front and put a flat foot on the ground. You're not a big step, just a little step. Okay, just a flat foot in front of you. And now once you have that flat foot in front of you, that's your flat. And then you just transfer the weights. And now flat, transfer, flat, transfer, flat, transfer, flat, transfer, flat, transfer, flat, transfer. So I'm going to let you guys do this on your own. If you need that flat transfer for a little bit, go ahead and use it. But at some point, you'd like to just kind of get rid of it entirely, where you're just looking down at the ground 3 feet in front of you. And then anytime your mind moves off of that point, then you just bring it back to whatever you're looking at 3 feet in front of you. So do your flat transfer if you need that. But then at some point, just let that go and just do the work. Okay, if you guys would like to make your way back into the classroom or maybe living room or dining room, you like to think of it. So that was 20 minutes of meditation. I don't know how long you guys felt like it was, but that was 20 minutes of meditation. Um, so I thought what I'd do is just kind of get us together and you guys can ask any questions you guys have about walking meditation. Is there anything you guys would like to ask? Mhm.
Teacher David, I felt like I was a little imbalanced towards the beginning when I was doing the turns, and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to look at the person in front of me, in the curved direction, or to look straight ahead of me, 3 feet
Straight down 3 feet.
straight ahead.
Mhm.
I felt at times, because it was such a moving target, that I didn't know like what to concentrate on.
Okay, so now you'll know. So next time when you do it, because you can practice this like in a house or in Thailand, I recommend people to do it in temples because there's lots of big temples around they can do it in. But you can do it in a park, you can do it in other places too. You can practice it just looking down straight at the ground. And it might be better for you in a more wide open space where there's not as many people. We have quite a few people here to be able to do this here. But yeah, it should be 3 feet in front of you, looking down and anytime your mind moves off that point, you just bring your mind back to that.
Then the point is changing
Hmm.
constantly.
That's what you're training your mind to do is be able to be comfortable with the impermanence because you're going to see things that are different as you're walking. Even if you're walking on a asphalt trail, there's going to be differences. And you need to train your mind to not be affected by that impermanence because that's the whole thing that the mind has difficulties with is impermanence. So you're training it to not be affected by that.
And then a last follow up is, so is it better to make a bigger circle potentially? Because I felt as if it was a little unnatural around the curve.
Yeah, having a more gradual turning is better. So normally we do it in a big, wide open classroom when we do it in Chiang Mai. Here we're a little bit restrained on space, but yeah, usually a nice gradual turn is usually best.
Thank you, Teacher Dave.
Hmm.
So I would assume it's normal to get a little dizzy after the meditation because after I felt a little dizzy and kind of unbalanced and just dizzier.
Yeah. So when we're training our mind, which is the non-physical, non-tangible, it's having an effect to the brain. The brain and the mind are two different things. The brain is the physical structures and the organ in the body, where the mind is this non-physical, intangible thing. You can't actually touch it or point to it because it doesn't exist in any particular location. But when you're training that, it's going to have an effect to the brain, and you can notice some dizziness and things like that, not only with walking meditation, but even when you're doing seated or lying or standing. And as you're training the mind, the physical structures of the brain are actually changing for the positive. There's scientists and researchers that research this. It's a whole field called neuroplasticity where they can see that people have been meditating for long periods of time, like 20 years and so. And I don't know if they've done any people shorter than that, but they can see that the structures of the brain are changing for the benefit of the individual. So that's oftentimes what is occurring is you feel a little bit dizzy, a little bit loopy as your brain is physically changing.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm. Okay. Oh, you have some more? Okay.
Seem to be slightly, I guess maybe I'm used to it more doing the breathing mindfulness meditation because of the movement and the impermanence.
Hmm.
It just seems to be harder to concentrate in walking meditation than you're doing the sitting position.
Yeah, when you're doing this for the first several times, it can feel a bit odd, especially if you're used to seated meditation. But your mind can get attached to seated meditation too. So that's why you would like these different positions to be able to use them at different times, because you're going to need them at different times. And you're not interested in your mind getting attached to something like seated meditation, because there's no such thing as a wholesome attachment or a wholesome craving. Every single one of these is going to produce discontentedness. So by you introducing some walking meditation occasionally, it'll help ensure that your mind doesn't get attached to these other things. But as you start introducing something new, your mind's not going to like that impermanence because it's holding on to maybe seated meditation. So it's not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel steady. It's not going to feel normal. But each time you do it, the mind gets more and more acclimated to it and gets more and more comfortable. So that's where you need to be able to practice it regularly in order to build it up as a tool. So oftentimes what the mind does, whether it's chanting or meditation, it'll tend to push things away that are new, not just meditation and chanting, but think about anything like maybe your boss comes to you and has a new process. Maybe you've been doing it in a particular way, and now there's this new process that you're doing. The mind usually wants to reject it because it doesn't like that change. It doesn't like the impermanence. So your mind tends to do that because it doesn't like impermanence. So that's why you'd like to introduce things like this, even in your meditation practice. Implement some impermanence so that the mind doesn't get a chance to grab on and just crave seated meditation all the time.
So is just doing in different places in seated position is enough, or you still want to do more than?
You still want to like to change. So your seated meditation, I recommend for people to move it around. So if you're used to meditating in your bedroom, for example, and you do that frequently, you would like to move to your living room or to the basement or to outside or maybe to a park or move around in different locations. That's going to train your mind to not be attached to the environment, right? But you can still be attached to the position that you're meditating in. So that's why you'd like to also change your position. Do lying, do standing, do walking sometimes. That's going to help ensure you're not getting attached to any of those things.
Thank you.
hmm And usually you build up your meditation practice for a couple of months with kind of like seated position or like one position, and then you start introducing some impermanence into it. You like to get a nice stable practice going 1st. Okay, so I think we've come to the end of our day. It's basically almost 3:30. So this is where we finish each day at 3:30. Tomorrow we're going to pick things up in the morning at 9:30. We're going to start off with our chanting and meditation. We're going to do the talk on what is karma and how does it affect me, even though everything we've been teaching in one way or another has been related to that. Now we're going to go in and talk about that natural law specifically. We'll take our mid-morning break, and then I'm going to teach you what is merit. I'm going to teach you how to receive continued support on the path to enlightenment. And then I'm going to teach you how to integrate the teachings into your day-to-day life. Because right here, you've learned a lot over the course, but now I'm going to teach you how to integrate it into your life. And then after our lunch break, I'm going to teach loving kindness meditation. So you can learn how to transform the mind away from anger, hatred, ill will, all those lesser versions like frustration and annoyance, and even learning how to get rid of that negative self-talk that you might have in your own mind. So enjoy your evening, whatever you might do, and perhaps we'll see you guys in a future class. Okay, take care. Be well.